Have you ever looked at someone else and thought, why can't I be like them? Why do some people seem more beautiful, more talented, more successful? And why does it feel like you are not enough? But what if your greatest strength is something you cannot see yet? This is the story of a tiny ant who learned a powerful lesson about self-worth. In a beautiful green forest, there lived a small ant named Annie. Annie lived with her family inside a large underground colony. She was hardworking, intelligent, and always helped others. Since childhood, everyone knew Annie as one of the most responsible ants in the colony. But as Annie grew older, something slowly changed inside her. She started comparing herself to others. Whenever she saw the peacock dancing with its colorful feathers, she felt jealous. "Look at him," Annie would whisper sadly. "Everyone stops to admire his beauty. Nobody notices me." Then she would see the butterfly flying freely in the sky. "I wish I had wings too," she thought. "I spend my whole life crawling on the ground." Even the squirrel made her feel small. The squirrel could jump from one tree to another in seconds. Annie would sigh and say, "I am so tiny and weak." Day by day, jealousy filled her heart. Before, Annie was always the first to collect food and help her colony. But now, she lost focus. She became slow, distracted, and unhappy. Her friends noticed the change. "Annie, why do you always look sad?" they asked. But Annie only smiled quietly and said nothing. One evening, dark clouds covered the forest. Soon, a terrible storm arrived. Strong winds shook the trees. Heavy rain flooded the ground. Branches broke everywhere. Animals ran in fear. The butterfly's wings became wet and heavy. She could no longer fly. The squirrel's tree collapsed, leaving him cold and homeless. Even the proud peacock could not open his beautiful feathers anymore. They were soaked with mud and rain. The entire forest was in chaos. But deep underground, the ant colony was completely safe. The ants had worked together for years, building strong tunnels and secure homes beneath the earth. When Annie saw the suffering around her, something touched her heart. She looked at the butterfly, the squirrel, the peacock, and suddenly she realized something. "All this time, I was jealous of them," she thought. "But today, they need help." For the first time, Annie stopped thinking about what she lacked and started thinking about what she could give. Annie quickly gathered all the ants in the colony. "We must help everyone," she said bravely. "If we work together, we can save them." Hundreds of ants formed long lines and rushed into the storm. Some ants carried the weak butterfly on their backs to a safe place. Some built a warm bed of leaves for the squirrel. Others carefully cleaned the water from the peacock's feathers. The animals were shocked. How could such tiny creatures have such big hearts? Slowly, the storm passed. The sun came out again. And one by one, the animals thanked Annie. The peacock smiled and said, "I have never seen beauty greater than kindness." The squirrel said, "Today I learned that true strength is not in speed or size, but in helping others." The butterfly looked at Annie and said, "You may not fly like me, but you lifted us when we could not stand." For the first time in her life, Annie felt proud of herself, not because she became someone else, but because she finally understood her own value. From that day on, Annie stopped comparing herself to others. She realized that every living being has a different role. Some shine, some fly, some run fast, and some quietly make the world stronger. Jealousy makes us feel weak, but when we discover our own strengths and use them to help others, that is when we become truly special. Never hate yourself for being different, because small does not mean powerless. The one with the biggest heart is the one who is truly great. If this story touched your heart, remember this: you do not need to become someone else to be valuable. Your strength is already inside you, and one day, the world will need exactly what you have. Like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs to believe in themselves again.